Okay. The time Shaggy looking kind of time which has reached the age of kind of training them. And you have to obligated to train them to daven. Mission says these Balshman has to the Peshmona Esrei and revoke it in the evening and in the morning. And we go Malcolm Rishali in the hem Lachol still is permitted to give them to eat, call them at feel before prayer, Shachris, also on us to reflect them. Moshe calls the seminary some tests and some tests for the Nan Gimel. Well Indian have feel them call them Kiddush in regards to feeding them before Kiddush. It's also it's from the Mogan of Ram. Misha Terasim and also one of his stories is his work livelihood. They go on Shim ben Bayachai, Chaber ben his friends. Mafsik with Kriyashma below the Tefillah, you can stop for Kriyashma. They would have to say Kriyashma, but they wouldn't stop for prayer. Avalana Mafsik ben the Kriyashma ben the Tefillah, but we would stop whether for Kriyashma whether for prayer. Okay, Haga. The emblem of the Achayirim ain't opposed to, and if it's to say to other people, he doesn't stop. Promotion is part of the hell. As it's clear earlier, the Simon pay test. Mikoma composed the core position still he Mimlo with if he's learning to other people, then he doesn't stop. Commotion is Baba level Sim pay test. And Mikoma composed he stops the core position says the first part of Kriyashma. The im in Ashram of there, so the time doesn't pass. The Yesh lo shah the down this spell. When they go Kriyashma, he still doesn't have time to daven and to say Kriyashma, any post to calling non-stop at all. That's in the base Yosef B'Shem Moran. The base says, Kigon Rash B'Shem Ben Yachai. The Haim Lo Hayu Oskim Kamba Malachim, they weren't at all doing with their work. They wouldn't deal at all with their work. This is from the Gemara. The Aim of Vasim, the Buddha of Hilavegan, they wouldn't stop learning him for a moment. This is from the Magen of Ram. Avalana Shem Asikim with the Veitar Lamanachim, but us who stop for our work, we stop our learning for our work. Kolshkin the Shanav the Tefillah, for sure we should stop for prayer. The Kriyashma for Kriyashma, B'nei Shi the Raisa because it is the Raisa, the son of the bush. Masha Ein Kain the Tefillah which is not true by prayer, the He the Rabban which is the Rabban that you don't have to stop for. Ba'afim is word the He Davar Torah, even though I think it's the Raisa. V'komakom in the Torah in the Zman Kavua, still when the Raisa there's no set time. This is from the Yerushalmi Perak Aleph, the Brachos of Prima Gadim. But the Amifam Yachas B'Yom K'Alam, it's enough just to say it one time in the day, as we said earlier and before. When you read Kriyashma, you should read it with its brachos. This is from the Magen Avraham. And afterwards go back to his learning, below you spell and doesn't have to daven. After Zoch Levato, the half of the Limudo, the half is Lasias Kol mitzvahs, even though you have to stop and his learning and for doing all the mitzvahs. Afilu shall differ so from even the Rabbanon. This is from the Magen Avraham, the Sherach on him. The one who learns doesn't do the things and he learns it's better that he wasn't created. It's still prayer, since it's just a request. Rachim is asking for mercy. Kilo mishar mitzvahs is less than other mitzvahs to gabi anashim. In regard to these kind of people, which aren't stopping from their learning even a moment. Eno posik, he doesn't have to stop. If he's teaching someone else. But people in Mali days they have money and for this you're gonna pass the time of Kriyashma. And prayer. This is from the Lavosh and the Prima Gadim and the Sharachonim. V'davku open to the Imlo Yilmadu Achsho, it's only in a way that if you wouldn't learn now, it's possible we're gonna be biddle and they're not gonna be able to come together afterwards. This is from the Beis Yosef and Simonian. Halav Hakli poses but not that they would stop in the average man Kriyashma it's the time for Kriyashma it's gonna pass. May Echad from the Chayah and the Mashma from the Chayah and the Mashma the Bechol Gav and the Posik in every case you would stop in the average man the time for prayer is gonna pass. Vamavazel Tefillah Mishum Limon Vatzels gets rid of his prayer because of his learning. I feel Lamed and Machayim Kol Yom even if he learns other people the whole day. He Lamed it's as if he didn't learn. That's when they're okay. Really, Rabagam came because of the shame. Piskei Joseph and an earlier I've also read the name of Piskei Joseph, the half of the Mathematics. I'm berlacha. Look at the berlacha. Oz beish if you're under the kuyam the kafilu also the hasil. According to everyone, you have to do is also to start learning. Afilu we must have even with other people. After shukavai gives my creation after the time of creation has already come. Imhu meshar shal yidei limudo yam razman. If he evaluates that through his learning, he's going to pass the time. El chayv the cross creation is obligated to be creation, and then you can start learning. Pasuk the first pasuk. Today the Kabbalah of Shemaim with my creation in order to accept the yoke of heaven at the time of creation. Yafter after Allah Sheesh Beitis Mizraim, and you should try and search after Allah which has the teeth of Ram, so the Magan of Ram. Today Lahaski Yitis Mizraim is man creation in order to mention Yitis Mizraim at the time of creation. But after Limudu Tov Sheyigmor called creation after Shabbos man, and after he's learning, he's good to finish all to say the whole creation even at the middle time has passed. He's from the Achonim. They end up post to he wouldn't stop at all if he could, if he's gonna have time after. Rosh Shlomo to say, I feel a pasuk we shouldn't for the first pasuk you have to do because you're gonna get it later. It's from Pashit. But I feel Lomid even if he's learning alone. This is from the Lush. Fine. Because we are Chonim, I feel his skill will be even if you started learning this or you shouldn't have been learning. Magna Gavim Derech Chaim Nishar Chonim. Say this. And the high news that after Shekvar gives my creation means after the time of creation has already happened, which should be one prayer. Shasula has to limit also time for to start learning, as she spell until he davens to feel first. Imhu Lomid, the base of his learning in his house, Vena Bragalil, the base connects normal to come to show the spell. Commotion causes for some Vitas earlier in pain, some Vitas. We can welcome him, combine his skill in Sarah collapse. If he starts, he doesn't have to stop. Vilashai Lomo told him she shows and he's able to learn as long as there's still time. In Be'elia Rabba Pasuk, okay, he's able to learn as long as there's still enough time to learn, and enough time to daven afterwards. Be'elia Rabba Pasuk, Be'elia Rabba writes, "Do any creation with the right, in regards to creation with the right. So after Yisrael man after even though they would evaluate, they'll have time afterwards to read it. Mikoma comes off the half to take over the cross so below. Still, he has to stop immediately and just read the whole thing. Im Hulam if he's learning alone. Ein Shamlok Debersim Ein Ubisimen Zen the Simon, Rokoza Im Hum Lomi Beves, those also if he's learning in his house. I will Im Hum Lomi Beves in Medrash, but if he's learning in Shul, or if he'll Beveso, or he's even in his house, Asher his skill Lumot Beheter, but everybody started learning Beheter. The Hain Kodim Shaki is man creation, which is before the time of creation. Bevadi is this more called Dasim, a Ramah for Shrik Milan, been in the Marshal Lola Hafzik, a people Archer called Africa Kol shows. So you can rely on the Ramah, but you don't have to stop at all, even if as long as there's enough time. And Barim Be'alach, look at Be'alach. Osal. Okay, so let's see Osal. So the Rasim Manasa, that his story is his livelihood. Avalon Mosigan, we have to stop. I'm very the Eli Rabbi, look at the Eli Rabbi Simanayan, Sheher El Hasig al Lavash, he was linked to ask on the Lavash from Masha Positim, and Yeshua shows that if there's enough time that goes afterwards, marketing Buddha after finishing his lunar in himself, he doesn't have to stop. After Shulam Biachid, even though he's learning when he's learning alone. The Eli Rabbi and the brother, they bring this to Eli Rabbi. Kamara, so there are many proofs of this. Medivri Harambam, from the word Ramban, Varan, Verazal. Medivri Ramad, Shem Bagab. And the words in the Ramah which are go perish b'simin kavav the Iri daf b'shalom and yemachirim. They explain this only if he's learning with other people. This Ramah. Achain. Okay, v'divrei Moshe we're going to perish b'simin kavav the Iri daf b'shalom and yemachirim. It's only with other people. That's when he would have to stop. And this way he doesn't have to stop. And even if there's enough time afterwards, I guess according to what he's attacking him, this Eli Rabba, and asking on the Lavush would be, then now it's only if you learn him in a then can, if you have time, is it okay? However, according to what the Pri Kodesh says, so, Ein Shem hate to look there good. Then Kukul also pushes off all his fruitsmen around the Razah from the Haran the Razah. And Pre-Kaddish Kasub, Shem, the Pre-Kaddish right there. The Ikvik shows the main thing is that if there's enough time, in Torah of Self Torah, you don't have to stop from your Torah, after the Kriyashma, even for Kriyashma. If we divvy a Gra, there's also some of them, the words in the Gra in this end of the Simon. The Fima Shaber had the Matic Eliezer, according to what the Melchizedek Eliezer explains, the bar, this the verse's words. Mashra Gam came to Maskim. After creation, Mashi even agreed to by creation, Malar, their mother, if you live along with him, even if he's learning along. After Mitzchila Divir Grab, however, the first, from the beginning of the words of the Gram, Masha Gas is the Vade Lugar Misudas, there's no word from the Suda, Masha the Hebes, it's Masha the opposite of this. Mikom welcome Yish the Asher, so you can answer the Zakaman also Masha Hosef. This is intent with when he adds Lahavi Rami Rishalmi to bring a proof in the Rishalmi, they'll clear the audio throughout the Misuda, it's even more than the Suda. Valkor Pligi Rabbanan al Rabbi Shimon, and for sure the Rabbanan al Rabbi Shimon, El Kaheta the Ayidil Limudi Ismat the Gamri Kriyashma, only one through his learning is going to get through Kriyashma. The Taim the Rabbanim Machmir and Afashi shows that if you're going to say that the Rabbanan argue when there's enough time, still Marak al Zef Polygraph Shimon, maybe that's the only thing Rabbi Shimon is arguing. The Lo Hayim Makshi Rishalmi, and the Rishalmi wasn't asking anything. Ayin Sham was there. Okay, so it must be even only when it's in Misbatel, because otherwise, well, maybe that's the only thing Rav Shimon is arguing if it's going to be Misbatel. Okay, Gamma Shakasuv, that also what it says, I mean, it has to be the argument more than if it's than the case if it's Misbatel, because otherwise then Rav Shimon could maybe only be arguing on that part and not on if it's Misbatel. And there's no question on Rav Shimon. In your Sham, whatever that was. Gamma Shabbat Zavod of Eli Rabbi, further what says the Eli Rabbi, the Pagdik Shalula Hati, I feel hit in Hiskal is man Heter, it's not to, you shouldn't allow it even if you started with a Heter. Shulchan Aruch B'Simen Reish Lam Lam Hey, Shulchan Aruch Reish Lam Hey B'Simen Sif Beis, B'Simen Tafish Nan Gimel, and Beis, and Simen Tafish Nan Gimel, the Magen Avram B'Sov Simen Ein, and the Magen Avram and the Simen Ein, but all the time I put him for the men in front of him. Hechiziko B'Chaluko, the Philik that they strengthen with his Philik, in and Shar, the arm regard to other things. Valkei Nira Lani stated that for Sims of Mahamal opinion, the Lomi Bayim Hiskil Lomo Bet Kodem Shiki Islam. We don't only talk about if he started learning before the time came for Kriya Shema. But Vadi and Torah will have to give sure doesn't have to stop. In Yodea Shalo Yavar Isman, if he knows the time's not going to pass him. But I feel him Hiskil Lomo Bet, so even if he started learning his house, Yichid Yalon, Aqua Shigi is mine Kriya Shema. After the time of Krishma has happened, we come welcome the Shalo Yomor Ata Yistatam and the mood of that if he doesn't learn now, he's not going to learn anymore, even though he started Be'eser. After the Yesh the Haka Velisma Chadas of the Bush, if it's possible, you could be make on the line of the Bush. pre-Chodesh and not on the pre-Chodesh which mentioned earlier. After the Yoshiosu is that she has to read Kriyashma, maybe it's better to stop here and read Kriyashma. The also Limuda and go back to learning Ketela Tate Pizek on that's Machmir in order to fill the opinion of the Machmir. Absolutely, he's filling even though it's without filling. But so I think he's in. Okay, Vidan, the base of Medrash. You should know that in the base medicine, so I have McLeod, but they're not to be machmir at all about this. So if you look at the hospital lumod, even the Hafilah to start to learn, after Yachidus, even alone, go to Matfil before prayer. Kishulu Yavers al Yidez is my Krishma, the time Krishma is not going to pass. The base of Medrash shall ram, then the base of Medrash shall the public, Lo Shayach Tum of Masters to be curious, this is not Shayach, maybe it'll be troubled by your learning, and could help us and pay test, Sivav Mishnah Bird, so they'll learn some bit test, Sivav in the Mishnah Bird. The Imlomid Lachim is teaching other people. This is second next to Bilachim. I'm busy with my Mordechai. Look at my Mordechai. Shenik Shemod Ba'agazu is very questionable about this Haggah. The Lefim Hashaviarnu Ha'afonim, according to the Afonim, explained Hakabana, he's in a posik of Ilim Yavers Mana Yideza. He doesn't stop even if the time for creation was going to pass through this. When this brings the Ramah with right, commotion is for the Elbusim because it says earlier in Sim Peitas. Hamayin Shem Heta B'Diver Rabbeinu Yonah, when it looks there in the words of Rabbeinu Yonah, Shehu Beis Yosef Ban Mish Yosef, Shemenu Mekor Adin Sham, which is from there is the source of this din. Shulchan Aruch above, and Shulchan Aruch and Tifah. But then a little bush, similar little bush there, you have to go through you'll see the opposite. Okay? That if you're going to miss the time, then it's no good. It could be that here he's talking about he started teaching other people. Kodum Shagia Zman Kriyashma before the time of Kriyashma came. Therefore, make it even if not to stop, even if the time is going to pass. I'm Brachot to Gimel on the base. Look at Brachot on the base. Rashi to Ramas Lochadina. We didn't see above. Cool. Shai Yeshon of the Talmud, he was teaching his Talmudim, he called them to my Kriyashma before the time of Kriyashma. So, okay, Mashma Rashi, it's Mashma from Rashi, the Achash Yagir, the man Krishma, once the time of Krishma happened, also go to the high school, normal will be also to start learning. I feel them even with other people in who Mishash Yavr's man at the time is going to pass. His values the time is going to pass. Elachai of the person, the other man has to relearn to read Krishma first. Okay, so there would be a question from the Elirab from the source of this din, which is the Rabbeinu Yonah. So now there must be talking with that there. Okay. Alef. Shulchan Aruch. Imu Mesubik Imispal. If he's a subject if he daven, close the Mispal, he has to go back and read daven. So, Zorach L'Chadish V'Shem David doesn't have to say anything new in this prayer. What if he's sure he did pray? The Eno Choser Mispal She doesn't go back and re-pray unless he has something to add in this prayer. But through something to add, you could go back and daven. Daven in the terms of like a gift kind of prayer. Call upon Jesus anytime he wants. Except for Mosif. You can't pray that prayer in as a gift. On Shabbos and Yom Tov, you can't give a Torah to the prayer at all on Shabbos. V'im hiskul hispal al das shelo hispal. If he started praying on condition that with the knowledge that he shouldn't daven, he thought he didn't daven. When Nisker Shekavaris is bound, then he remembers that he did daven, so he now what's he supposed to do? Post the Kavila Bams and Bracha, he should stop even in the middle of a bracha, even if he's able to say something new in the prayer, still stop. If he prays, he's if he did a prayer. Leading creation, regards to creation, Rabbi Hassan, and Mistabik Dayan Sham, and the Elbasim Sam of Zion. If he has a subject that look earlier in Tim Son of Zion, closes him, his father goes back and reprays. He matches the Omer, and he makes a stipulation and says, if I didn't pray, then this should be for a chova. This should not have obligation. This is from the Rajba. If I already prayed, then the Zama should be for a gift. Even though all the suffix of the Rabbanan we usually make. Here you go back and repray this nation that the halavai, like it. Would that it be that everyone prayed all day, the Torah Nadav in the category of the gift, the Yidei Chiddush and through a Chiddush, that would be awesome. Because look, I'm going to say later on that it's a mitzvah every time you do it. But half fish closes in Mishpal, and here when he goes back and he prays, Gam al Asafik about the on Safik of Yividavin, into a Chiddush you don't need a new thing. But the in Lach Chiddush Gadol Mizal Shiyatsu Ayidei Sfeiko, because there's no new thing greater than this, which is Yosef from his doubt. But with the Chaim says there the Arvis is Safik in al Tzorach Lachaz of the Spabel, then if by Marv you have Safik about it, you don't have to go back and pray. Tefillah Shmones, the prayer Shmones. The Kavua Kova Bevada will be Safik. They set it up as a Chova only when it's for sure that you have to pray, not if it's a Safik situation. If it's Safik, then it's not a Chova. Al B'divik said Prima Ganda from the words of the Prima Ganda Mashallah Rak the in Chov Alav Kulyam. It's just that he doesn't have an obligation according to everyone. Look, I'm there. I will look at the Nachon who she asked to be spelled down the Harvard says, but the Hafil is proper for him to go back and be prayed even by Marv. He the Emes, you gam the Harvard, I feel the man, the Amr Shus, in truth, even by Marv, is even according to the verse, it says it's only a permission. We come welcome the Hafil mitzvah, he is still the Hafil, it's a mitzvah. Mamela Mashiyat, it's fake, and automatically when he comes through, when he gets out of his doubt, if he did this mitzvah, now because he did, the Chiddush Gam Ba'aris is counted the Chiddush even for a marriage. Then Mashal and yes, I did Lashon Rambam, similar to Mashal, my humble opinion from the Rambam, Herkil Mihel Tefillah, from Herkil Mihel Tefillah. I ain't showing that. Val Tzada Yosef over on the way, the better way to do it. Here, the Chadish Badavar, he should be exceed to add something new, Bachos also in his returning when he reprays. Say something new. Ain't no doesn't go back. The tefillah is connected to meeting with Tiknum because the prayers were set up for the sake of a tamid. But having kamaku shnei tamidim as if you said two tamids. If you brought two tamids, this is from the Torah and the Lavush. The shem chov for the sake of an obligation. So also mishum baldos that would be also if you do it for if you just say the same thing again without adding anything. I feel as well as feel be offered even if you sprayed originally alone, this from the old summit. But Asher wrote to this Bible too, and now wants to pray with the congregation. I feel off the also still it's author. Miss Palmer the double, you say pray within the double. Appears Tabka bin the double, it's only with a gift type of way. Aval Hashem Kova feel the Chiddush also for the sake of an obligation of even with adding something to the author. This is from the old summit. The Vahad being in a Chiddush from double, this you need to add something when you're doing it in the first double. The idea of Chiddush Minkar Meitofa should feel also the same time on their name. It's through the adding something, it's proven that the prayer is just for, he's doing this for the sake of, his prayer is for the sake of supplications. Bul Hashem Kol, not for the sake of his obligation, just wants to say more things to Hashem. This is from the Lavush. Kamisha also Hashem Kol, without adding something that looks like someone's doing it for an obligation. He also look at the base. He also should bear the opposite Torah that explains the thing in the Torah. Who had in this Baal Tefillah Shalom Torah Shalom. The same thing would be if he prays it for prayer, even if it's not for the sake of an obligation. The Gambo is Gavin Hashem the Dove, and also is intent for the sake of a gift. And he adds something in it. Then the Shabridam is also good because through the Chiddush it's proven or recognizable that it's for the sake of supplications, and therefore he did make say for the Dava. Look at the berura. So there's no tefillas most of the Nidava. Wrote to me to say, if he was Rosh Chodesh, Vishal Moed, even Rosh Chodesh, Vishal Moed, even Shomer Musaf Chasim, since he's saying Musaf Chasim, this one wasn't the problem. But Musaf in and Craven Elmi shall Tibra, and the Musaf is only brought by the congregation. Then the Yachal the Nadiv, also when the single person not able to bring them. I'm Bachonim Shekat. So look at the Achonim, right? This is from the Prima Garden, the Achayim, and the Chayadim. The Lafiza, the Tfilas Musaf, and according to this, my prayer of Musaf, who are then the Shabbos, Yom Tov, similarly by Shabbos and Yom Tov, the whole Tfilas, my all prayers, if he's a suffix, if he said them, he's not able to go back and repray them. The Hari Tzorchlis, the Haskell, because he has to stipulate, and then it could be an Adam and you can't do an Adam on Yom Tov. Well, then I was if they cut and base, then I was cut and base. And with that, Yachal has with this case not able to stipulate. The I'm basically like I'm the Simon Kaf Kavel, and the Docker later on Simon Kaf Kavel, develop their lock and develop their lock clown and all. The Visha in is Ram the dove was craving the hem because you can't have another and a double brown and Yom Tov or Shabbos because there's really a lot of history Shabbos and Yom Tov going on only when you have after. For L'chiyah Karbanos is the Rehatzim, but not for Hadavos. But Hilu Yachol, even if he could say something, the Hiskel to be, and he had a suffix, and he thought he wouldn't do it, and therefore he started praying. He should just stop, even though he could say something new. The beginning of his prayer was for sure for the sake of a kol. So meaning he thought he didn't daven it. Shari Hayy Sober Shlois Valadan. He thought he didn't daven at all, not a suffix. But Chiddush doesn't help to announce the Chiddush, and the L'chein Afilim Yirtzu L'Adzu L'Gamar, now if he wants to finish it, the shame the devil for a gift, Lomahan doesn't work. Even Shigvar his Kubal L'Shem Kovit since he already started for an obligation. Diyev Shalahavin L'Havi Carbon Shehefet Shilkov L'Chatsu. And it's impossible to bring a carbon which is half obligated and half a gift. Okay, because of his Hiskel Al Dashul is gone. When he started when in a condition I'm thinking that he never davened at all for sure. Avalim Hay is suffix in response to his Hiskel tonight, but if he's got a doubt if he davened and he started with it tonight. This is from the Eli Rabban, the Prima Gun, and I'm Berura. Look at Berura. We can always have caught in beds, settle into beds, and it's coming home such as Baal in the middle that did have. And you Shlomo the interrupt of Kaddish, you just say he doesn't need a Kaddish. We're going to Karach to Hashem Dava, and he can finish it for the sake of the Dava. The given to his Shlomo Tzilave, and since he started properly, I died to speak for the sake of a suffix. The suffix have a Kaddish, and when a suffix is like a Kaddish, it could be, the suffix would count when it's a Kaddish. So in Tzarech a Kaddish, then it doesn't need a Kaddish. So we levush mashu shagomer I finish in the bush mashu. You do have to finish it through a chiddush. After do all you do al tariyos. So it's possible just through the better way that you should finish with a chiddush, but it could be that since you started with the suffix and got rid of that suffix, that was good enough, and that is a chiddush. But it should be. It seems like that is, and there's really no reason why it shouldn't be. And the bush is saying that you should have to in Sandish, but that's just the better way to do it. Okay, Bay says, Chiddush Shamayim, this Chiddush she said, who, Sheyichadish Dover B'chol Brachos, you should add something in every Brachos Mehem Tzos, the also the middle one, to be in a Brachos similar to the Brachos. V'yem Chiddush Afilu B'Brachos Achas, and if you make a Chiddush even by one Brachos, that's enough, they will idea she with the Nadav L'Chovit in order to show that it's a Nadav and not a obligation. Those who say that it's not called an adding something except in the Kaddish as still davar shlo hayat tzarach of kodem lechain. If you add something which wasn't needed to him before this is from the Torah the Shem Harash. BMT is from the middle bracha. Avalo b'shalosh rishonos, b'shalosh achonos, not from the three beginning and three ends. Could become in the kafir give base as you said, and some kafir base it has to be a middle bracha that you're adding in. Two. Let's see if our halachos. Imam Mustafik, if he has a suffix, I'm a chayad, look at the chayad and shikasum. The ayom in the mogid in them nowadays we don't have this minute. If you mind them before the common simon, Dalad said according to what I explained later on in Simon Dalad, six Dalad. It's all she makar asas he has to recognize himself on the diet of shukul and then evaluate himself as able to intend. We do a ship as man is there. People have come male so it's known that even nowadays, even 1 in 1,000, you won't find. The MK in Yachol Hassels, so you're not able to stipulate. But when you hear that, it doesn't seem my humble opinion. Achel the Divya Rajma in Muskam and Lokuliyama. First of all, the words of the Rajma I read according to everyone. Kidas the Rabbi, the opinion of the Rabbi is true, the truth of the Rabbi is of the Rabbi. The Chovel of the Chaz, the Bali has an obligation to go back and be correct. Even according to the Rajma, Gam can use the Chalik Mehadis Ifdal, you could still make a difference between that this is Ifdal. There's some Irish Bim is Baal Stam and Torrance and Dove, and there is talking where you're praying just simply with it for not a gift. Sham Yafu Karin and Baal Lamali Rose of From there it makes sense you could to read the passage of why we need all the majority of offerings. The David Carbonos that's meaning enough with the Carbonos of the Tom is Reclaim Bishal Tfilas Shavuos and some of the three set prayers which are set. Abu Bazesh wrote to the Spal Kadela Safety Day Tveka, but this one wants to pray in order to get rid of his suffering. Do you know who Kamoshim Shemash Shai Tfilas is din is like other prayers? It's Orach with Afil Nishtad Luchavin Yastum Afil to work to try and intend. But you have a diamond in low Kevin Rock Robinson, but you have it's only it's enough if you just had 10 by others. I'm very well, look at the berura, I'm valid. Reclaim Mash from Lashon Shulchan Sims Mash language of Shulchan Aruch, I am the one who delves in there. The high din of the sifdal, this din of sifdal, and in shayach file will have the suffix isfal is not applicable to suffix. If he had a suffix, if he prayed, come on before the alef which is brown sifal. El inim b'pnei atzmu who has its own topic. B'chem b'chol poskim simin all the poskim yishonim achronim shreisi which I saw. Munim shum remez shayom yishtana is the din that today should change this din. Began with their hakayim hagaz shulchan shlomo and timu shulchan aruch. Similarly. The Graz and Shlomo, they'll have the Graz and Shlomo, they also copy over the Shulchan Aruch, but halachically you do have to go back and repray and turn from them. Holding this down, you go back and repray in the Talmud. I'm the Prima Gadol, look at the Prima Gadol, she calls to the last Rajva of the Tuba. According to the Rajva, is the response is, Love of the Chaz of the Spali is an obligation to go back and repray, Lahaslas and to stipulate. When that's the Chadushav, and according to the opinion of the Chadushim, Ilchiyah has no obligation on him, right? Not for the Chazar, it's just proper to go back and we pray. The Halavai followed in Polyom, then Halavai the person to pray all day. We say from my Mordechai, Shulchan from the Tshuva Gupa, that the word in the book of my Mordechai, it proves from the words of the Tshuva itself, the Ein Chol B'Lav there's no obligation on him. Rak Shekaz of Zaraj, but the Kibin the Chazal, his Shul, the Chaz of the Spalza, he just the Rajah says that since the Chazal allowed him to go back and pray, the Ein Bo Mishon Shem Shemayim Levatal, there's no Shem Shemayim for no reason. And then no closer if he doesn't come back. Harihu Kamar Ba'asm She'eno Kosh Tefillah is like showing by himself that he doesn't care about prayer. L'chein Tzarach Chazal is not even therefore he does have to go back and pray and give it as a gift. Gam Heser Viola pushes on pre-Chodesh. She also removed from him the question of the pre-Chodesh. Ein Sham Devar from the Chodesh looked at it because the words are proper. Okay, so meaning it's not really an obligation, he's saying, but it's just since you can, why wouldn't you try and do it? There's something wrong if you're not doing it. Ben Zalchal Chalish from you don't say anything. Beinim Espal also Bianca, whether he's praying alone, well, Tzibor is in Tzibor in the congregation. That means not Kamino Bizayim. Beinim Pam Rishon Aya Biachon and Tzibor all the time, and there's also no difference if the first time was with Tzibor or with a single person. This is when there was summon. Either way, you wouldn't have to make a new finish because this suffix is your finish. And validate finish was in the spell, but if you do add something, you could go back and pray anytime you want. Then Kilogranum is spelled Tefillah Zula in Tzibur or Bifid. There's no difference if you're praying this prayer with a congregation or alone. Think also the Torah. This is what the Torah says. Find base. You also look at base. You also different spell Machadish Padav. And then if he's davening and he's adding something, we're going to scav and go. L'shem Kovin didn't intend for this for an obligation. Yam Shul L'shem the Daven doesn't didn't intend for an adava. Yam Ken Shabbat Daven also is very good. He did what he did right. Find the Rambam, look at the Rambam Paragim and Hilchos Tefillah T'Lach Above and the Hilchos Tefillah T'Lach Above. Because the mission is Damaglo and Tispal. One of it says it was subject if you prayed. Al Dashi Nadava on condition that if it was an Adava. Vavande Benim Kavan also Ayideh Chedesh K'Moshe Mer Hadak Moshe and for sure whether his intent was through the Chedesh. As explained in the Moshe, Oshim when also Rambam the subject how they come out Chedesh or it is the intent of the Rambam is the subject is like a Chedesh. Al Gabonim Mucha is still from this to Bavada, Yidei Chedesh Gamkin, Lamahani, Elabit, Mimakam, and Hashem, and the Dava. For sure, it only works even if through a Chedesh if you intend for an Adava, below the Mispal Stam, not just Stam praying. Al Dashlo is Spal, and condition, and assuming thinking that he's in Daven. And with his al Tanai, when he started with a Tanai, Mach Musavig, and because of a Savig, if he davened, and he remembered in the middle, I'm Mishnah, we're looking at Mishnah, we're Masha Besam, Bishem Lavosh, as we wrote in the name of Lavosh, it's our Chadish that you do have to add something. Goes to Vili Rabbi who all this down so to Vili Rabbi that's just for the sake of me doing the which better. When Bezivim Mordechai causes the Labush Medina, and the Bezivim Mordechai says that the Labush is actually no, he's saying Medina you have to be Makadosh something. Mitam the Madam Rina the Ein Lochol Chedesh Gedol Mizek. For the reason is because this that we say there's no Chedesh greater than this getting rid of your suffix. When Machas the Mashim is following called suffix, the Zero Kedushin is. It's because the city is praying from the power of a suffix. This is a Chedesh. Mikol Shinizga Mem Sushikvar Spal. Anytime you remember in the middle you already did that. But Nigla Milsa it reveals the matter. I'm afraid that Tfilas Ganava that his prayer was for Nadava. But Tzarach Chedesh B'Chol Nadava and then Yil Chedesh Mal Nadava. So acknowledge it earlier. Okay, so either it's Medina or it's Itani or Tzitov. Posik, I feel it he would stop even in the middle. I know Tom Mission Berura, look at the Mission and the Mission Berura. Then you stop in the middle. But I feel a bit feel even by because you thought it was a kova and now it is really in a double, and therefore you can't combine them. But I feel a bit smart. I was even by Mar the time on the Rishos, which passing was Rishos, so maybe you could combine them in a double on that one, and that sort of obligation Rishos. Posik you still stop now for the Hashim. Shavina along Kova now, since now we've let it on us as a Kova, we still his Kova, I died to the Kova, similarly started with the obligation of the Kova, finished to be a Kova, but it's from the Magen Avraham. V'yom chidish fila bracha achot, if you add even by one bracha, my lashon zeh mashal the fila bracha shmei tefila. In this language, it's not even by shmei tefila below yisham shuv v'tzor, not like the yisham which is brought in the Torah. And sham, look there. Mikamagam near that fila down to Shulchan Aruch still appears even according to Shulchan Aruch. V'inu shem v'makasha zu lo yeh morgo bo v'chol yom. This request can't be a custom from every single day. Base it's tefillah skova in the time of the prayer, which is an obligation. He says it during every Shema tefillah. The reason is because isn't the reason that through the Chodesh you know that it's an obligation. It's a nidava, not an obligation. So therefore, if you're saying it's every day, it's not.